So I was just about to go ahead and start. Hi, Ami.
Ami, what's up?
You're muted.
Hi everyone.
How you doing?
Ami Diamond,
Um,
the SharePoint wizard. You know what I mean? Oh man.
yeah,
Okay,
love you,
okay.
love you.
That's
Good
good.
deal.
I'm so glad Ami's here.
Definitely. Um,
So I think we should just go ahead and anybody joining would join during the class.
okay, cool. All right.
Okay,
You ready?
and let me just introduce you quickly.
Oh yeah. Sorry. Good. My bad.
Okay, good evening or good day, everyone, depending on the part of the world you're in. My name is Ruki Ujara, and I am a training coordinator at Dynamics Consult. And here today we have Therman Trotman, and he is a SharePoint guru, someone I look up to in SharePoint. He's currently a consultant at the SharePoint Help Desk. Okay. So you can literally reach out to Therman for anything SharePoint. If he doesn't know it, he's going to direct you to someone that knows it. Okay, so Therman, I think you can go ahead. The floor is yours.
All right, good deal. Appreciate it. Okay, so before we get started, the first thing I want to say is I do want to set the scene, you know what I mean, for like how I like to talk to my stakeholders and what I like to impart on them, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of times when someone asks you to do something that involves some type of data, the thing that you probably do is reach for a spreadsheet and you start to drop some information into a spreadsheet, right? Now, there's nothing really wrong with that. The spreadsheet, it has columns, it has rows. That's somewhere where you can track information. That's cool. But a thought process that I try to get my clients, my stakeholders to think about is the spreadsheet should be the end goal. That should be the end of the line, not the beginning. The beginning should be a system that you put your information into, and then if you need that information, you export it. And when you export it, then you get it in a spreadsheet. So for instance, right now there's some app on your phone that you use, and when you use it, you put data into it. That's a tool, that's an application, that's a system, whatever you want to call it. You put data into that tool. If you need data out of that tool, or if the people who make that tool need to pull some data and see some reports, they export it. Or they can go into the system and build a report if they feel like. But if you needed it, highly likely you would have to go to some part of that app and export it. And then when you export it, you have it in a spreadsheet. And you know what you got inside that spreadsheet? Clean data. If you start with the spreadsheet, you send a spreadsheet out to people and tell them to put information on it in there, or you start putting information into that spreadsheet, you're starting with bad structure. You're starting with, errors and mistakes and all that other stuff inside of your spreadsheet. If you start from a system, then you put it into the system. The system forces you to give them clean data. So like right now, if you open up the app that I'm talking about, whatever app it is, let's say one of the pieces of information you got to put in there is like a date. You can't write the date in there correctly. The app is going to force you to put the right date, the date in the right column in there. I mean, in the right format. So you'll probably like open up a calendar, pick a little a date, and then the date will be put inside of the app. That's clean. That's good data. When you go to export that into your spreadsheet, you don't got to worry about errors and mistakes and all that other stuff. You have more important things to worry about, like analyzing that report. So that may seem like a lot, because it is. Because a typical end user, when they want to fire up some information and fire up a spreadsheet and track some information, you get your spreadsheet out and you just start tracking that information. I understand it's easy. But here's what Microsoft did. They created a tool called SharePoint that makes it easy for the typical end user to do what I just talked about. So without a tool like SharePoint and other tools like it, I would say, yeah, keep doing what you're doing with the spreadsheets, because it's too much for me to ask a typical end user to go try to do, think about data structure and formatting and all this other stuff. Like, I get it. You want to do what's quick, what's easy. But what Microsoft did is make a tool that makes it quick and easy for you to do. And that tool is SharePoint. And even though I'm talking about, a spreadsheet, the thing I'm comparing it to is what I'm going to be talking about today, which is SharePoint Lists. But just know this is SharePoint. You know what I'm talking about? This is SharePoint Lists. So the SharePoint List tool is just one piece of all of these things that SharePoint can do. It's just that list tool, I compare it to spreadsheets because a lot of the ways that people use spreadsheets are wrong. It's not natively for that. You know what I'm saying? Where SharePoint is for that thing. Here's an example. So like, if the project manager or the boss or whoever says, listen, I need, this is a big organization and they have a lot of power tools. Let's say they sell power tools, right? And they need a long list of all the manufacturers that they get those tools from. So let's say they got a ton of tools. I don't know, maybe like 500 tools in the market. But they probably have like, 60 or so manufacturers. But they've never put all those manufacturers into one data set anywhere at any time. So if I'm in that company and the boss says, hey, I need a list, or I need a spreadsheet of all of our manufacturers and the details of the manufacturer's track, where they're located, how much money we've done with them over the last X amount of years, how long we've been with them, who the point of contact there is. This is good information. Everyone else hears, hey, I need a spreadsheet with this information. That's how everybody will typically hear it. I hear, hey, I just need a way for me to be able to get to this information easily. That's what I hear. So as soon as I hear that, I'm not thinking about the tool. Well, okay, I'm lying. I'm probably going to think about SharePoint because I think SharePoint is a great way to track this information. But I'm not just hearing, I heard the word spreadsheet, but that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that this person needs a place to track this information. So I'm like, all right, cool. We can do that. Another person, they're going to cook up that spreadsheet and send it out to a bunch of people and say, hey, or matter of fact, they don't have to send it out to a bunch of people. They just create the spreadsheet and start putting the information into the spreadsheet. And then maybe if they don't know all of the manufacturers, they can send it out and say, hey, I need y'all to collaborate, put some information into the spreadsheet for me as well. It works. It's fine. You know what I'm saying? But it's not, efficient. What I would do when I have a SharePoint list, the first thing I'm going to do is create that SharePoint list. Then I'm going to take that link for the SharePoint list and send that out and have people populate that information. That is way more efficient than trying to do it on this spreadsheet. And I'm going to show you that here today. That's what I'm talking about. So before I turn on my computer and get into all of that, are there any questions? Do we got any questions? All right, no questions. All right, so I got a question. We're going to create a SharePoint list today, but I need it from the crowd. Anybody in the crowd right now, is there any information that you're tracking in a spreadsheet right now that you would like to see get tracked in a SharePoint list instead? Or are you getting ready to track some information? You got a project coming up or whatever? Give it to me, and if y'all don't give it to me, then I'll come up with something. Matter of fact, I'll use that example I just used as I bring up my screen here. Hold on. All right, I got nothing. That's cool. That's cool. That ain't no problem. You know what I'm saying? That ain't no problem. So, all right. Let me bring up my screen. Hold on there, buddy. Oh wait, we got something in the chat. Tracking the daily tickets intake for support. Elijah, I like that. All right, good deal. So what Elijah said is tracking the daily tickets intake for support. So I'm assuming he's talking about IT tickets. So that could mean like, you know, you got a problem with your computer, you submit something to the help desk because you need help. And then that ticket gets routed and you know what I mean, all that other stuff. There are some organizations, big organizations, that's tracking this information on spreadsheets. What is that? You know what I'm saying? And that, you know what? That's not even their fault. A lot of people don't know about the tools that are available to them. They know about the basics: Outlook, PowerPoint, Word, and Excel. These are basic Microsoft tools that a lot of organizations just get. They buy Office, then they send their people on their way to use them. So it's fine. It's totally understandable. All right, so tracking daily tickets intake for support. Let's do it. Oh wait, am I sharing my screen? Wait a minute. No, I'm not.
No, not yet.
Not yet. Okay. I got all my business
Yes,
stuff.
you're on now.
All right, now I am. All right, good deal. All right, so I am on office.com. When you go to office.com and you have your account, you can sign into your account. I'm already signed in. You can do the same thing if you already have one. Go to office.com. You'll see your thing right up here in the corner for you to sign in, and then you sign in. I am currently signed in. Once you get signed in, you come over here, you come to the three dots. There's a tool right here called SharePoint, right? And when you go to SharePoint, you'll see this page. And then you could pick one of these sites. You might have a little, you might have a lot, depending on what your organization is doing. You could pick one of these sites and go to. I'm going to go to a site that I use a lot called Contract ABC XYZ. It's just a demo site to show off things that I could do. Like this course right here, I'm showing you Microsoft Lists. So whether your team uses Microsoft Teams or uses SharePoint, you have access to what is called a SharePoint list. On the homepage of your site that you pick to go to, like I just went to this site, when you click new, you have options. This is the option that I'm talking about right here, list. So when I get ready to create a list, I got a bunch of options. I'm not going into those options today, way too much. I'm just going to start from a blank list. And I'm going to call this ticketing system. And I'm not going to put a space between those two words. I'll show you why in a second. Now, if I'm creating the ticketing system, I'm in the middle of building it. So I don't necessarily want people to see the ticketing system as I build it, because I'm not ready yet to debut it. So I would uncheck this right here where it says show site in navigation. They're talking about this right here. But for this class, I'm going to leave it checked because we might run out of time. Because for some reason, every time I'm teaching, I always run out of time. I got to get better at that. All right, so now I'm going to leave it checked, and I'm going to say this is for us to track IT tickets. So now I hit create. And that easy, that simple, in a couple of seconds, I literally just created a Microsoft list. You can see the URL right here. I mean, the item right here in the navigation, ticketing system, and you see this right here. Now I'm going to show you why I did this. If you look up here in the URL, this is the link to this list. This link right here, where it says, demo site list ticketing system. If I would have put a space in ticketing and system, it would have looked something like, what is it? I think it's percent 20%, something like that. Not a big deal, but if you can avoid it, avoid it. So I put the space, but then I do this. If I click on this, put a space in between there and hit save, now it looks like a normal title. So let's go ahead and build this request system real quick. Title on your list, every single time you create a list, the main thing you get is something that says title. And what you got to think of title as is like the unique thing that you're actually tracking. So we're tracking tickets. To me, that's the request. I would change the title column to request because that's literally what I'm tracking. I'm tracking requests that come in for help desk support. So let me just change this real quick. I'll rename it I'll call it request. Now I'm going to add another column where you would on a spreadsheet, you would just like, go to the next column and put in a title. On SharePoint, what you do is add columns. And here's all the types of columns you could do. You could do a choice, which is where you make somebody pick something. You could do date and time, which is where you make somebody enter a date or a date and a time. Multiple lines of text is like a paragraph. So you get multiple lines that you're going to give people to fill out. Person is where you actually pick a person inside of your organization. So instead of trying to write somebody's name, you could write it a little bit like their last name or whatever. And then a list of those people will start to pop up, and then you could just pick them. So you could do that with the person field. The number field, literally what it is, you use that for numbers. The yes, no field is the same thing. You use it for yes or no if you're asking a yes or no question. Hyperlink, too easy. It's just for a URL. Currency for money. Location for like an address. Image, obviously for images. Manage metadata. Long story. Don't worry about it. As a beginner, you'll get to that later on in life. And a lookup column, kind of complex too, but just think of it this way. If you have a list of items in one list and you want to connect it to another list, you would use the lookup column. So if I have a list of tickets, and then I have a list of people, this is a terrible example, and I want to connect multiple tickets to different people, I would do that with a lookup column. Can't go into it today. I'd love to show you it, but we ain't got to get into that today. Anyway, there's a couple other column types, but for now, we're going to deal with these main ones. So after requests, you know what I'm going to ask them to do? Put in multiple lines of detail text, and I'm going to call this description. Because I need details on this request. I need to know what's going on. Now, you may be tempted to say something like, request date or incident date or whatever. You don't have to do that necessarily on SharePoint. If the person is putting in the ticket the day that the problem is happening, then SharePoint already tracks the date that they have put in the information, and that's this. You come to here and you show hide columns, and then you go created. You hit apply. The date and time that this record, any record gets put into the system, it's automatically tracked when, and the time and date is automatically tracked. So that's in there. So you put in a request, you put in a date, maybe you put in your department. So I need to know where you're located, right? So I say choice, and I'll give some choices. So I'll say department. Then I'll say HR. I'll say finance. I'll say operations. Let's just say that our company's small. We only got 3 departments. So yeah, we got the request, the description, when it was created. I'm gonna move this to the end. I like this over here. And the department that they're from. I feel like I'm missing something. Hold on. All right, so for now, we don't necessarily need anything else. Plus, we press for time. So let's just go off of this. Now, the cool thing about a list is that when you create what we just did, we literally just created a list. If we were doing this in a spreadsheet, we would have created a column called request, description, department, created. You can send that URL that I was talking about earlier. You got to take everything off the end of here, or you can keep it on. It doesn't matter. This right here, this list right here, that URL, that's the link that I was talking about that you send to people, and you tell them, hey, go fill out your ticket on that site. So let me show you what you could do. You could say, this is how we, collect help desk tickets, filling your information, blah, blah, blah. They would come here and they would hit new, and they could fill out this form, or they would come here and hit edit in grid view, and they could fill out this. So those are cool. They're fine, whatever. But I try to teach like a holistic view of SharePoint. If you wanted to be more efficient than them spreadsheets, you're good. Right here, this is 2,000 times better than them spreadsheets you're giving out, right? Hold on, let me make sure I'm still good. Because I'm getting a phone call. I want to make sure I'm good. Yo, can y'all still hear me and see my screen and everything is good? Y'all can hear me and see me good? I'm good?